This is the fifth and last episode with regard to my reacquaintance with the RB67. I've spent several months now, since going back to June of this year when I first put this channel together, inspired by the purchasing of that camera. And this is just really a quick wrap up of what I've discovered about the camera and about the use of the 120 film, which has been, in this instance, Ektar 100. I decided to stick with that one particular film, just get to know it. I've spent considerable time testing the camera, the film backs, one of which I sold. I had 3 film backs that came with the camera when I first bought it. I sold one of them. I didn't really see the need for having 3. And also the AE prism finder, which came with the camera, which was a beautiful prism finder. I sold that because I really didn't feel that that kind of did anything for me with regard to my use of the camera. And it was a very, very heavy piece of kit. And I sold it to a local photographer who was very appreciative of it. And hey, extra pounds that came from the sale of that allowed me to buy some more film to keep going. So win-win. So here's where I am today. Having spent that time, I've shot these 5 rolls of film, varying subjects and varying lighting conditions. And I've also spent quite a lot of time in post-production with regard to perfecting, I think, a technique with the Epson V600 flatbed scanner and its native Epson Scan. And I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube. The general consensus is that the native software is not very good. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. It's taken me some time to create something of a workflow where I got acceptable results, but they are very acceptable results. And I can't speak about the ViewScan and Silverfast options because I haven't tried them. It's been a long time, back in 2004, since I shot and scanned film. And I used ViewScan back then, and it was very useful, but I've preferred to try and stick with native software. And my findings for that really have been that if what you're working with are prints up to sort of A3 size, then there's plenty of resolution and sharpness to be gained from that software and the flatbed scanner. I might, well, likely probably would put the negative or the slide, whatever, E6 I was using, out to a lab for a higher resolution scan, maybe a drum scan if I wanted to work on something bigger, but I really haven't found the use for that. So I'll just put up a couple of scans that I have made over the past couple of months and let you take a look at some of the varying subjects that I managed to photograph. So I really like Ektar 100 film. For me, it ticks a lot of the boxes that needed ticking. It's a very saturated film for negative film, something akin to Fuji Provia slide film, which I did spend quite a lot of time using in the past. It works for me for my subject matter. I like to shoot landscape and automotive subjects, classic cars, etc. So it works really, really great for that. It's very, very sharp, very low grain film, and yeah, so it works great for that. Now, a lot of people have commented that it's not a great film for portraits, and I tend to agree with that. It does render skin tones a little bit on the red side, and that can be controlled, filtered out in post, but even so, it doesn't really do great justice to portrait subjects. I think I'd rather look at using a film that was more suitable, so probably Portrait 400. And in fact, now that I've concluded the shooting these 5 rolls, I'm going to move on to buy a pack of 400 Portrait and go through a similar situation, testing that too, but obviously I won't be putting as much time into the camera. I'm very happy with the way that's all functioning. So I feel now I can go out in earnest and shoot some subject matter that's meaningful, if you like, with a particular project in mind, without worrying about whether I've got potential camera failure. So a note about Ektar. I'm going to say that it's potentially my favorite black and white film. It might seem like an odd statement, but during my post-processing work, I have on numerous occasions done black and white conversions, and this one in particular is of a 1950s old Chevy, and it's in one of the videos I made earlier. Started off as a Ektar 100 color neg, scanned on the Epson V600, and then converted to black and white. Really beautiful print. I absolutely love the tonality. Lots of details in the shadows, and it probably doesn't show up very well on this video, but you know, there's some very nice sort of subtle cloud detail in the sky there. I did rather go for a high key sort of shot there, and I preferred that contrast with the not so much detail. I could have pulled that sky down even more, but there was plenty of headroom to do that with a negative, but I kind of liked the way it looked. I was very happy with that. Beautiful. So the reason that I prefer working with a color file for black and white is just as in straight digital capture. Being able to work with the channels gives a lot of maneuverability, if you like, for the tones in the different parts of the image by working with different color channels. And I'm not quite sure if I were analog printing in a darkroom, it would make a lot of sense to shoot black and white, but shooting native color, I don't have to worry about using filters on my lenses to filter out certain wavelengths, and that, you know, is preferable to me. It just seems to make an awful lot of sense. I said it's super fine grained, just beautiful. I'm very happy with that. I'll be pursuing that back down the road. So in conclusion then, I'm extremely happy. I'm now ready to, as I said, go out and shoot particular subject matter with the system. I am working on a project to photograph 5 churches in my local area. These are historic churches that go back to the 11th century, and in fact they're all going to be rendered in black and white, shooting Ektar 100, and I'll be taking you along with me if you'd like to join me on those shoots. So 5 churches over the space of the next 2 weeks, and then ultimately from that project I'll be putting together a zine, and but I'll be sharing each shoot as we go along, out on location, and the resulting images that I get from that. So if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell apparently that you know, gives you that reminder that a new video is out. It'd be nice to have you along. And if you've got any comments, you know, please make them in the comments section below. If you've got any questions that I can attempt to answer for you, I'd be more than happy. And yeah, in the meantime, happy shooting, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining me.